What's going on, fam? We are back once again. It's been a while. And today we want to talk about self-love. Self-love. What is self-love? What is self-care? What is self-compassion? What does it mean to be patient with yourself? Right? I think these are all questions that we need to ask ourselves, because I think there's a temptation for us to be people pleasers, to be codependent, and sometimes we label these things with the term being loving or selfless, but actually it's coming from an unhealthy place, because in reality you're doing it for yourself in order to protect your ego, your self-worth. Yeah, this is actually a conversation I had with my clients last night. We had a group coaching call for those that are in the process of overcoming pornography addiction. And we were talking a lot about that. You know, what are the differences? What does that mean? So, yeah, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I feel like when I hear the word self love, I don't know why I kind of see selfishness in there. Because I feel like the world's definition of love is, oh, I'm going to do me, or I'm going to go shopping, spend all my money because, I love myself. So I feel like to really understand this, you need to define those words that you have mentioned.
Mm-hmm.
So, what is self love?
Well, yeah, then we get to the conversation of what is love. And I think in a previous video we talked about love being defined biblically, right? Because we are Christians personally, and we believe that the Bible has the best definition of what love is, and it's found in 1 Corinthians chapter 13, which is a letter that Paul, the apostle, writes to a church in Corinth in the Mediterranean region, and he basically defines love as being patient and kind, not seeking your own will, not being irritable. What are some of the other
Not
characteristics?
boastful, not prideful,
Not being prideful,
not arrogant.
not arrogant or rude, right? Not causing division. So, yeah, I think 1 Corinthians 13 does a really good job of explaining what that is. And I was even mentioning to some of my clients last night that the term recreation, right? Recreation, within the word, like, I love doing word studies, but even in English, to recreate is to build back up, it is to restore, right? Which means that there was a period where that thing was torn down or depleted. So recreation, or in terms of different things that we do, hobbies or different ways that we spend our time and enjoy our time, they should be building us up. If you're feeling torn down, if you're feeling exhausted, if you're feeling drained, if you're feeling like your tank is actually emptied more than it is filled up through your activities, maybe it's not actually self-love, and maybe it's something else.
Yeah, that's why for me it's like to talk about this, you need to be really clear. Even what you mentioned, it's supposed to be building them up. Some people don't know what that looks like. They think that they're doing something that is good for them and that is building them up, but it's the opposite.
Can you give an example?
Like recreational, right? I already thought of drinking or like
Okay.
smoking marijuana.
Recreational marijuana.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, I'm gonna get a lot of heat because of this. People will say that, oh, there's a lot of benefits when you do this. I understand for people with pain that it helps them or it may help, but for someone who doesn't really need it medicinally, like it's just negative. There's a lot of studies and more studies are coming out that when you smoke marijuana, all parts of your brain are low function. So things like that. When
That was
you
from Dr. Amen, right?
Dr.
You've been
Amen.
watching Dr. Amen.
Yeah. So if you say, oh, like you gotta take care of yourself, I need to build
Baby,
myself
real
up.
quick, can we pause? If you're gonna talk low, you have to come closer to this.
Okay.
But you can't be like talking in the other direction, because I'm looking at the volume and it's like halfway,
Okay.
and I'm gonna be messing, like I'm gonna have a pain editing.
Okay. So, yeah, when you mentioned building up, people can say, I'm taking care of myself, I'm smoking marijuana. It helps me relax. So, I think you really need to be very clear what that looks like. And I mean, I don't even know how we can touch upon everything, but as a
Yeah.
Christian, those things should be clear.
Yeah. And we don't have to necessarily go into every single scientific explanation of all these things, right? Um, I think that's the principle though. Like even Paul in First Corinthians says, "I'm free to do anything,
But not everything is
but
beneficial.
but not everything builds me up. Not everything is beneficial." And that's the lens that we need to look at life through, right? Is it building me up? And it can even be like certain relationships in your life. If there are certain relationships that are tearing you down, taking away motivation, uh, encouraging you to settle in certain areas that aren't the best, right? I think that is a way to kind of determine like, okay, is this something is filling up my cup or is it depleting me? And there are times where we need to serve and we need to empty out our cup, right? Where God is calling us to serve and to pour out. But when it comes to self care, right? That's the conversation we're having. Self care, self love. That has to be the measure of, or that's the litmus test of if this thing is truly self care, self love. If it's building you up, is it making you a better person? Are you actually joyful? Are you coming out of there energized and happy? Or is it the opposite? And to be honest, right, that doesn't necessarily mean it'll be easy, right? And just an example of this is like working out. Something that I love doing for me, for my mental health, is working out because I just feel energized. Like I'm physically pushing myself. I mean, natural dopamine and endorphins, in your brain being released, these neurotransmitters and hormones. And yeah, it's not easy in the sense that like I'm pushing myself. I'm pushing weight. I'm pushing myself to my limit, but at the same time like the end result of that is a good feeling.
Right.
Is a better sense of self-esteem, a better sense of even like relaxation
Mental
because of
health
that.
as well, yeah. It's good for you, and you're saying that it's hard, you have to push yourself, but at the same time we live in the United States of America where I'm busy, I'm busy, I'm busy. So for you to have time to do it or to squeeze that in is another hard thing. It's too hard to do. And I'm speaking to myself because you saw, well, I don't want to be hard on myself because, being a new mom, working out was something that it was just very difficult for me to start doing again. And
Because you used to work out a lot.
yeah, I don't know about a lot, but I used to work out, and then when I became a mom, it's just like I would rather sleep if I have any time for myself. But that
Which
did,
is also self-care.
right. But that did not help me like mentally. Like I needed to do active things in order to help me mentally. So
Yeah, because being inside, not being physically active, like our human bodies are not
designed
wired
for
for
that.
that. We're not.
Yeah.
We're meant to be active. We're
Moving.
meant to be moving, blood flowing. Yeah.
So I had to really be kind to myself and remind myself that, hey, like, you're not working out just to look better or whatever. No, it's for you mentally,
Yeah.
physically. But for me, the thing with me these days is my mind. I need to love my mind. And
Talk about that. What does that mean?
yeah, so I've been kind of not reading, but I've been listening to summaries of books. And
Spark
I've
notes.
no,
Just kidding.
it's called like Headway. I think the app is called Headway, and it provides summaries of books, and it's been so helpful for me because reading, I mean, these days it's almost impossible. And the thing with it is that you can listen to it. So if I go on walks, I can listen to that and give food to my mind in that way. So for me, these days I've been focusing on the mind because if your mind is weak, everything else falls.
Mm.
Physically, it's just not gonna follow. Like
Mm.
when your mind is slow, like you're just slow physically, everything, right?
Mm.
And I feel like that's what happened to me. I just kind of like allowed my mind to deteriorate a little bit.
Mm. What do you mean by that?
Yeah, so being tired as a new mom, when I have free time, I would just say, I'll just watch this show.
Uh-huh.
Instead of feeding my mind, I wanted entertainment.
Mm.
And there's nothing wrong with that, but I feel like that was just me saying I deserve this and I'm
Mm.
gonna spend my time watching this to be entertained. And
Mm.
yeah, it just deteriorated my mind. And at the same time, as a new mom, your brain is physically smaller.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I was forgetting a lot of things, and I mean, I still haven't, you know, completely recovered from that, but just my mind being small and I was not feeding my mind,
Mm.
my body, I was just tired. I wouldn't say depressed, but I was like lonely and sad and negative thoughts on negative thoughts.
Mm.
And
Can I ask you a question?
yeah.
Because you were going through that season,
Mm-hmm.
and at the same time, I had a business coach that I just hired to coach me.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing therapy every week,
Mm.
right? So I'm curious, like, you going through that, and maybe I don't know if you've thought about this, but you going through that, and then me just seeing me like pouring into myself like a lot, like,
No, that pissed me off.
okay, like, talk about it.
Because I'm like, dang, I'm struggling over here, and he's just fine. Like, I'm a
Mm.
new mom, and he's a new dad, and you're fine, and I'm not fine, and you're telling me
But
to.
fine in what way? Fine why?
Because, man,
Yeah.
I don't want to offend you, but like as a dad, it's like your body didn't go through the change, your mind didn't go through the change,
Right.
your brain didn't shrink,
Right.
and at the same time, yeah, you're working, but like as a new mom, I'm working 24/7.
Yeah.
So for me, I'm like, in my mind, well, yeah, you can help yourself because you have the time to help yourself and you have the opportunities to help yourself. And again, for me, it's like I'm struggling to pinpoint what I should do when I have a free time. It's like literally, oh my gosh, I have 5 minutes. What do I do with that 5 minutes? Do I go to the bathroom? Do I get food? Do I do 30 squats? It was a like, you know, I don't know what to do with my free time because and I freak out because I don't have a lot of free time. So your mind goes crazy when you get 5 minutes. So yeah, you're telling me all these things, and I know that you talked to me and you pushed me to find a counselor or a therapist and all these things. But for me, in my mind, the negative part was I was like kind of like responding just inside my mind. I'm like, well, it's not that easy. It's not that easy to just get a therapist. When am I going to schedule that? When do I have time? So I had all these negative kind of like walls, like saying, nah, I can't do it. No, I can't do it.
Would you
Do
call
it.
that? Would you call those limiting beliefs?
Yes, limiting beliefs for sure. But then at the same time, right, you cannot tell me that I wasn't struggling like with time. I was struggling with time. You know what I'm saying? I really had to push so hard to now exercise because with time and then being just completely exhausted. I ask you for prayers for exhaustion just because you're just so exhausted as a new mom. But yeah, I wanted to work out and do all these things, so I really had to push for it. But something in my mind changed because of like something that I read
Mm.
that changed or I listened to that changed the way I view things
Yeah. What's
and I
that?
think. So again, right? I said I'm taking care of my mind now. I need to love my mind. You need to love your mind because everything else follows.
Mm-hmm.
When you have a healthy mind and you're smart, dang, like that's beautiful. There's a book that I've been listening to. It's called Emotional Intelligence: Why It Can Matter More Than IQ.
Mm.
Because literally you can be so smart and depressed, and your intelligence goes to waste because you want nothing to do.
That's
You
deep.
or you don't want to do anything.
Right.
Right.
So, yeah, that intelligence means nothing,
Nothing.
because emotionally you're being dragged down.
Yeah, you're being dragged down. So for me, I'm like, that's so crazy.
Mm.
You know. So and another thing too is that, I was looking for motivation to do these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you tell me, hey, you should be motivated, you should love yourself, again, like, my mind is like, no, it's so hard, it's harder than that. But for me, what I learned is you gotta do something small first, and that small action causes emotional reaction that then becomes your motivation.
Say that one more time.
So people look for motivation, but they don't have it.
Okay.
And then some people say, just do it.
Uh-huh.
Just do it is hard.
Nike.
Right. Just do it is hard. But there is something in the middle there that I was missing. Just do it small. Because when you do it small, your action, that small action, causes emotional reaction that becomes your motivation.
What is the emotional reaction?
Something positive. So let's say, hey, go to the gym. And work out. For me, that's so hard. To go to the gym, to get ready, to drive to the gym, that's like an hour, blah, blah, blah. So I started calculating in my mind. So for me, what I had to do was just work out at home. Just do 10 minutes of workout at home. I'm doing something small. I'm not sure if you noticed that, but I started doing something small. And then as I started doing something small, I was inspired to do more. So more and more, and then I'm asking you, hey, now I'm ready to go to the gym, but then the gym is packed. But I'm not gonna use that as an excuse to not work out. So I'll work out in the garage. So for me, it started with just doing something small, and that led me to feel better. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. I can do more. I want to do more. So yeah, it's for me. It became so important for me to just do something small and frequent that it became now like my habit, and it now became my desire.
That's good.
Yeah, because now and another thing that I wanted to add
That's
is
fire.
about habits. If it's not your desire to do it, you're not gonna want to do it.
Right.
So there's gotta be a way for you to change the things that you want to do for it to become your like your desire to do it. So for me, for example,
You almost have to trick yourself.
right, and I don't like that word tricking because it's like deceptive, whatever. But that's just how the brain works.
Right.
Yeah. So another example for me is that I don't like walking because I'm trying to build muscle, and walking is like, like it doesn't
cardio.
it doesn't help me. What is it called? Yeah, it doesn't help me build muscle. So, but I know mentally walking is very good. And then I get vitamin D, another thing for the mind and the body. So, for me, what can I do to push myself, right? Now I started thinking, oh, if I listen to something interesting, I'll like walking more. And then Shiloh was sleeping, so that's another positive. So now I look forward to walking. Oh my gosh, the sun's out, let's go. So I just have to connect the thing that I don't want to do with something positive, and just like from there, everything flows together. So yeah, I don't know. I just started babbling there, but
No,
just little
that's not
things like
babbling.
that.
That's fire. That's really, really thorough. That's really good. Yeah. Wow. I really appreciate that, because so like I'm a different kind of person, I guess. I'm a
You're
person.
very different. We're very different from each other.
Why? Why am I different? Go ahead.
I think if you tell Chris to just do it, he'll just do it. He might have like excuses, but for you, it's just like I feel like it's easier for you to just do it, and that's what you tell me. Just do it.
Yeah.
But for me, there's so much more than just doing it. Like there's something in between, like I mentioned. Just do
Yeah.
it small.
There's more nuance to it. Yeah, for me, I don't know what it is, but I don't know. Maybe just because I've gone through a lot of therapy, I've invested a lot into my emotional health. I don't see those I can't walls around me. You know what I
The
mean?
limiting beliefs.
Like for me, it's like, okay, let's just say even physically, like I'm unable to do this. Let's find a way. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, you're very strong minded, right? Like in
uh-huh.
not strong minded. Your mind is very strong in
Okay.
that way. And I'm not there. I'm not there, and because I'm not there, I see what you're saying as something as cocky, arrogant. Just do it. No, that's
That's
just
real.
how it is,
That's
and that's
real, yeah.
what it shows that maybe my mind is not as healthy as his, and that's why we got to be careful and know who we're talking to. That's why for me to
Yeah.
talk about self love and self care,
Yeah.
there's so much to it.
Yeah. I appreciate what you're sharing, because I think for a lot of people who struggle with this, like maybe they were or they are in a similar place to where you were, like very recently, you know? And sometimes for me, I think it's like I can speak to a certain type of person, like maybe the person that is like, just tell me what I need to do, like type A type thing, you know? But then you have like type B, where it's like a little bit more like you kind of have to like convince and talk through it, rather than like, hey, here's the instruction.
And I'm gonna tell you right now, not a lot of people are healthy mentally like that.
Oh, definitely not.
Some
Most people
people,
are not.
oh yeah, most
The
people,
majority of people are not.
and most people are easily discouraged. So if you tell
Yeah.
them just do it, that means nothing to them. Just so you
Yeah.
know.
No, for sure. And honestly, this is a quote. I think it's Michael Jordan. I don't know if it's like attributed to him, but it wasn't actually him. But he has this quote where he basically says, "Hurry up and fail so you can succeed." And for me, like, I used to struggle a lot with failure. You know this.
Yeah,
And
I have so
shared,
much to say about that too.
I shared, you know, a lot, especially in the area of like sexuality in regards to this in a previous video. But for me, it's like I've come to a place, and I thank God that like my sense of, I guess, self-worth has become solidified enough, knowing that I'm loved by God, knowing that my performance is not the measure of my worth, that it's what Christ has done on my behalf that saves me. It's not what I do. So really understanding the gospel, like the good news of Christianity, has changed things for me, because now I'm not afraid to fail. Now that allows me to fail without feeling like I'm a failure, right? I don't absorb the identity of failure, because I know that my actions are, you know, kind of an extension of me, but it's not me.
Right.
So like Michael Jordan's quote, I just love it so much, because now I look at failure as part of the journey towards success.
That's the very healthy way of viewing it.
Yeah.
I was listening to something about that,
Yeah.
and there's two views, right?
Yeah.
When you failed,
Yeah.
the person can say, "All right, I failed. I'm done with it,"
Yeah.
and the other person can say, "All right, I failed with that part. I can try another part. Now I'm closer and closer to succeed."
Yep.
And I'm like, "Dang, that's so true."
Yep. Yeah. Because that's the thing with anybody who has succeeded in any area of life. Like Michael Jordan was cut from his high school basketball team. I was cut from the high school basketball team when I was in high school, when I tried out my freshman year of high school. But I gave up. I said, "Nah, I'm done. Like I'm not doing this again." But Michael Jordan leaned into that and said, "You know what? I'm going to prove these guys wrong.
Yeah.
These guys didn't see that I could do it, and I'm going to show them."
He even tried playing baseball.
Yeah, well, that's later on. But yeah, so he ends up becoming the best player of all time, right, in basketball. So I think that's like a type of determination and a type of spirit that's needed. You want to talk? You want to say something? What do you want to say? Okay, you're not going to lick it. So that's the type of determination that if you apply that in any area of life, bro, if you're resilient, like I really do believe in most, you know, successful business people and successful people in sports and different areas, like they say that resilience and determination really is the X factor to success. Because you don't allow obstacles, you don't allow failure, you don't allow excuses to get in the way. You find a way to make it work. Right? Even when I get on a call with somebody who potentially wants to work with me to break their porn addiction, if there's a point where they start making excuses and they say, "Oh man, no, it's I can't do the financial commitment. I can't do the time commitment. I can't do whatever it is, whatever their excuse is. Ultimately, what I'll ask is, well, do you want to make this work or do you not want to make this work?
All right.
Like, are you trying to find a way in or are you trying to find a way out? Like, let's just be clear right now, because if you're trying to find a way in, I'll help you and we'll move forward. We'll make it work. But if you're trying to find a way out, then like, let's just end the call right here.
Right.
Because I can't want something for you. You have to want it for yourself, right? And as a coach, I'm here to help, but I'm not here ultimately to spoon feed you,
Yeah, that's not it.
right? Like, a coach motivates and draws out the already existing intrinsic motivation, but I can't plant motivation in you, right? So that's the thing, right? In terms of failure, it's just so important. And this is the thing too, because every time you fail, you learn. You learn and you say, okay, that didn't work. So it's trial and error. That's the way that we need to look at this. This is trial and error. Even with people who want to do therapy, right? Who want to go to a counselor, or maybe they want to start meeting with a coach, and they have, let's just say they have a bad experience with the therapist, or they have a bad experience with the coach. For those that completely just stop trying, they're the ones that never actually reach their goal. Whether it's emotional health or breaking porn addiction or whatever it is, they never reach their goal because you're not willing to try again. There is a good coach out there for you. There is a good counselor out there for you, but you need to be willing to keep trying. Don't cancel out a whole field that helps people because you had one bad experience or even multiple bad experiences with people that just didn't match up with you. But I do believe that there's a good match out there for you. So, yeah. Any thoughts? I've been...
No, yeah.
Yeah.
I guess we have a lot to say.
Yeah.
But in terms of what people should do as self-care, what does that look like?
What people should do?
As self-care. They're like, I want to do self-care, but what should I do? All right, we mentioned working out. We mentioned sleeping. Oh my gosh, sleeping is such a big thing. Right? If you sleep less, it's like your mind is not completely restored, and yeah, you just can't function the same way. What else?
Sleep.
Eating.
The way that you eat.
The way that you eat. Oh my
And I'm going to just be transparent with y'all. If any of you are in Austin, this is the salty donut.
That's our favorite. Oh my
The
goodness.
salty on South Congress. Amazing. Best donuts I've ever had. So this is part of it, right? And I actually gained this from my previous therapist before we left New Jersey. Because for me, I've always been kind of like a black and white, almost legalistic person when it comes to my
Yes.
habits, when it comes to like, you know, if I know something is good, if there's anything outside of it that you're trying to get me to do, like, I demonize it. But one of the things that I enjoy is drinking coffee and eating pastries. And the way that my therapist said it previously was, oh, that's cool. Like, that's your little slice of happiness, you know, for the
Little
day.
slice of heaven.
Little slice of heaven. And I had never thought about it like that because I had always demonized it. Some of you guys know that we just came out of the Seventh-day Adventist Church recently that demonizes caffeine and coffee and tea and all these different things. And there were remnants of that view that I was holding. But it's just something that I enjoy. You know, it's just like I enjoy the taste. I enjoy the experience. And yeah, for my therapist to just like that one little phrase like stuck with me. Now, I'm not saying just go, you know, drink 1,000 milligrams of caffeine every day
Yeah, you gotta.
and, you know, just eat donuts and ice cream every meal. Like, no, like we believe in discipline. We believe in taking care of your body because you only get one. But we also believe that there's a balance and this is something I learned from Anna, like enjoy yourself. Like every once in a while, like
Oh my
go get, you know, something that you enjoy eating, ice cream or donut or pastry or something.
You definitely struggled with that. Chris was very legalistic and everything is wrong, and evil. Ugh. And I was like,
That's the fruit of a false gospel.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Praise God. Praise
Yeah.
God for freedom and
Praise God for leading us out of that church.
because I feel like we just had a lot of just like I don't know, like we were under this spell and control and
Have mercy. Yeah, witchcraft is described as using words to control people. That's deep. But yeah, so in regards to self-care, self-love, doing things for you that fill you up, right? For some people, it's going fishing. For some people, it's going for a walk. So for me, a big thing is like going to a coffee shop or going to like Barnes and Noble, going to a bookstore where you can just sit and just hang out and just read or have a coffee or get some work done. Like for me, that pours into me. Like I feel taken care of after an experience like that. So it really depends on you. And obviously, sin in any way. We're talking about pornography use. We're talking about, really like drinking alcohol in general. But, some people, I understand they'll have a glass of wine here and there, which we don't demonize either. But yeah, just like when you're doing things that are harming you and actually the fruit of it is actually more negative than positive, or even just negative at all, like that's something that you need to question if it's actually self-care or if it's actually self-indulgence.
that's the one. Self-indulgence.
Yeah.
That's not good for you. That's not self-care.
Yeah. It can, like, a lot of people conflate the two.
And self-indulgence can even lead to addiction.
Yeah.
That's just how it is. So it makes me feel good. I'm going to keep doing it. Dopamine. And your mind needs more and more and more and more of it.
Right.
And you're like, yeah, this is just how I love myself.
Right.
You are hurting yourself, sir.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So yeah, man, it looks different for everybody. It's not like there's a list out there like the 10 Commandments that you have to follow these 10 self-care practices or else it's not self-care. Right? It looks different for everybody. Playing basketball, going out, I don't know, just hanging out with family. Just something, that pours back into you.
Self-care also, well, I just thought about this, like looking or scrolling through social media and then you start comparing yourself to others. Not good for you mentally.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Doom scrolling is not self-care. That is not self-care.
Yeah, if you have 5 minutes or like 10 minutes, this app that I'm using, Headway, and we're not sponsored.
We're not sponsored, but we should be.
I just do appreciate it because how did I see it?
Yeah.
The advertisement, the way they said it is instead of scrolling, use that 15 minutes to listen to the summaries of, like the summaries of the books. And I'm like, yo, that's so good. And that will help my mind heal. And I've just been, getting like little gems here and there. And for me, I need to be self-aware in order to make change. So for me, again, like if you tell me just do it before, I'm gonna be like, forget you, I can't just do it. But now I'm realizing that I just have to do a little bit and then I'll be motivated to do more. So for me, I'm like, let's do it. Like I just need to do something small today.
Take a small step.
Like planting that seed and it will grow.
Yeah.
And
that's good.
yeah.
Love that.
So for me, less scrolling and more of those things.
More pouring into yourself.
Yes.
Listen to podcasts. There's so much knowledge out there, guys. Like, we live in a time where there's literally no excuse for you to not grow and for you to not mature and develop as an individual because we have access to so much information for free. Like, you just go on YouTube and you find somebody that's, like, sharing wisdom and you just go through all their stuff. Like, you don't even need to pay money for that. Like, there really is no excuse.
I do have something to say about that.
Okay. Good.
You're saying there's so much out there. That's the issue. There's so much out there. So
that
where
could
do
be
they-
an
could be-
issue for
right?
some people.
Psychologically speaking, if there's a lot more options, it's harder to choose. Like that's just how it is.
Yeah, but that's
So-
that's where you need to try. You need to be willing to try.
And again, if you, as a Christian, right, find Christian people with podcasts.
Yeah, there's a lot. There's actually a surplus of podcasts out there and people that you could listen to. So there's so many ways, man.
Yeah.
There's so many ways. For me, the Basement podcast, I think they changed the name of it. Tim Ross, I think it's Upset the World Studios now. was a big one that I was really listening to, and it was really pouring into me a while back. But there's so many different ways.
Yeah, for me, I've just been going back to books and like, again, the mind. So the scientific parts of it, I've been listening to. That's the thing about podcasts, right? Practical things. But for me, I kind of want to dive deep
Okay.
into, like the mind and all these things. So I'm just focusing on that, and that's been helping me.
Yeah, and you like facts and information, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah. I like more so hearing like people's experiences.
I do like to hear people's experiences, but right now where I'm at, I just need
Yeah.
the facts.
Yeah, it's not black or white. There's
Yeah.
different seasons and yeah. So yeah, guys, this was just us kind of reflecting a little bit on self-love, self-care. We didn't really talk as much about self-compassion. I think we touched on a little bit.
Yeah, for
But-
me, that was
Yeah.
big too.
Being patient with yourself, we did talk about a little bit.
Yeah, because people can't, I don't want to say people don't understand you, but sometimes you get to a point where you really feel that nobody understands you. And you just have to be there for yourself, and you have to be patient with those people and just really kind of like remember that, yeah, even if they don't understand, you know what you're going through, and you don't have to listen to them, what people are saying. Yeah, that's when I say do you.
Are you talking about me?
Maybe.
Yes. Yeah, man. No, that's the truth. And everybody's different. And I'm this is another aspect of marriage too, where I'm still very much learning how to communicate to, Anna's personality type, because I'm very different and I communicate differently with, I guess, different people. Or
Yeah.
I land better with other types of people.
I
So-
remember I told him, I was like, I'm not your client, sir. So
That's real.
don't talk to me like I'm your client.
That's real. That's
I'm not
real.
paying you for that.
That's real.
I'm not paying you.
100%. So yeah, man, we're gonna keep releasing videos like this. If you guys find this helpful, comment below and just let us know what was a takeaway from this video. Liking these videos, like the little like icon with the thumbs up, is important because that shows YouTube that these videos have value and they begin to push it out to more people. So yeah, feel free to share this with somebody that you think could do more in pouring into themselves and taking care of themselves, because you only get one of yourself, right? And the different assets that you have in this life, like they may deteriorate or they may go away, but you are your greatest asset. To invest in yourself and to take care of yourself, you take that with you for the rest of your life, and that never goes to waste. So yeah, all right, fam, we'll talk soon. Take care.